So if you're like me and you think that Canada may be broken, and you wonder to yourself, why might that be? Well, something funny in 2020 happened and we need to talk about it. Welcome back to the Freedom Pines podcast. I'm your host, Jamie AB. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get into today's video. So today's video, originally I wanted to talk about all of the teachers that are on TikTok who seem to be allowed to run their mouths despite knowing that when I went to school, there are, you either want to be working as, in social work, teacher, working with the public, working for the government, or you want to be online. That's what we learned. In 2013 or 14, when I went to school, that is what we learned, okay? But it's not just that. And we need to talk about the bigger picture here, which is the fact that so many of our milieus, as in social services, seem to have forgotten what the standard code of ethics are. Okay? So when we went to school to work with the public, specifically a vulnerable set of people, we learned these things called a standard code of ethics. And why do they exist? Well, they exist because we need to maintain a trustworthy relationship between caregiver and a provider, care provider or whatever, and client. Okay. And this exists because there is a lot of reason to be distrustworthy of the social services, especially in Canada. Okay. I'm thinking the whole reason that the Family, Child and Services Act exists is because of residential schools. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden, there was this flip of a switch where we were ignoring ethics and morals, okay, ethical standard of practice for the greater good. Okay, you guys have heard me say that before, for the greater good, but I'm putting it into what I can just describe as unethical behavior done by our services. Let me read these to you. Do no harm. Okay, that's number one. Do good. Self-determination, as in encouraging your client to make the best decision for themselves. Equal treatment, confidentiality, and informed consent. Yeah, a lot of those ethical standard of practices were broken during 2020, 2021, 2022, and just keep going. Okay, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. The way that we fix this is that people start being held accountable again from top to bottom. All right. This one says could be through action or inaction. Helping professions are aimed at being influenced positively, not negatively, and directed focus on avoiding causing harm or additional harm. So when those of us who said, hey, I don't really feel so well after that first thing, and then our workplaces doubled down and said, well, you better get the second thing, I am pretty sure that's doing some harm, you guys. The next one is do good. Promotes well-being in clients and others, focuses on improvement of well-being, and only do what qualified to do. Now, there are so many things that this has been broken with, okay? Do you think that MAID promotes the well-being and doing good of clients when we know that services that would help them save their lives that they would like to access are being denied to them? Is that doing good? I'm just wondering, because I'm not the only person who learned all of this in school and who was sounding the alarms, especially when they wanted to offer MAID to people who were 12. Children. Yeah. Now, this might be the biggest one that was burned. Self-determination, related to the clients and their self-determination, respecting their rights and responsibilities and their decision-making, reducing client dependency on workers. And do you hear that? And all I can think of is harm reduction. I'm just saying, empowering client to make decisions and take responsibility for their well-being. Avoid influence clients based on your values, feelings, and beliefs. Yeah, which is exactly why I find it so ironically funny that people like Frank and Boots on the Ground and all of these people who claim to be teachers can get on the internet and act partisan, act like conservatives are right wing. How dare the unions allow this to happen? Because you know that if a conservative was talking, I know I've kissed my career goodbye. Do you understand that? I have kissed my career goodbye because I have opened my mouth on here. Okay? I already lost my career. But if I ever do get better, I would never be able to work in this because of my online presence. And I know that. And I know that it's because I have a strong bias. Not even just because I'm conservative, okay? But it is because I'm conservative, because they don't care when left-leaning people, like Frank, has literally said that I was a Yahtzee sympathizer when I am the only one who is still bitching about the fact that I might run into a real life Yahtzee in North Bay. I am the only person still talking about that because for some reason our liberal government gets away with literally everything because nobody is being held to any ethical standard of practice. Okay, let's keep going. Next one is equal treatment, respecting differences, diversity, avoid discriminatory practices, stereotypes, biases. Did you know that we learned when we were in school that we should not be working with, like, we had to sit there, the amount of things that we had to do, we had to write out traumas that we went through as kids and see what scenarios that would lead to being our bias scenarios. Like, I had issues with my mom. So I know that if I was working with a client who was like 16 years old and having issues with the mom, my main goal would be biased towards what that scenario should be, which is unification, okay? And so I know enough to know not to work with girls who are 16 and went through the same thing as me because I will be biased towards the situation. Just like I would be biased enough to never work in CAS around people who essay. Yeah, because I just don't believe in people being put back into the homes of that kind of abuse. I don't think that that kind of abuse goes away. And I know I have a strong bias towards it. So I would never work with them because I would not have the main objective of unification. So anyways, let's move on. Confidentiality. Respecting that any and all information that you acquire as a result of your position belongs to that client and is not yours to share outside of that relationship. Except for specific situations, only a client can give permission to have that information shared, and CYW must actively protect a client's confidentiality. Yeah, so this speaks to more of the entire. This is why people don't talk out about what's going on in the school. And it's very, very unfortunate, but it's there for a reason. Like if you have a teacher in the classroom talking on their phone, and you talk about a scenario with a child, chances are a parent would see that, know you're talking about the child, and you could get fired. And you should be. Because unless you're doing this anonymously, which you should be, you should not be on TikTok in the classroom in the slightest. I do not know why, and you know what shroomed us, if you know what I mean, shroomed us into doing this, and to the blurring the lines of confidentiality 2020, and having to contact parents outside of school so much because of the online learning. This blurred the lines. And ever since then, because they asked us, I remember them asking me to tweet. I was like, first of all, I don't have Twitter. Second of all, if I did, I would not be tweeting my boss at work, the school. They're like, tweet your baked goods. Absolutely not. I will send them to you in an email and you can upload it to Twitter. Are you kidding me? I was like, and what scenario is this appropriate in the slightest? We should be having one giant Google Meet for the whole school and you could post updates on that. Oh my gosh. And then there was so many things about so many different school board use different things, and some children's information got leaked. So this is the last one, and it's called informed consent. And this one is a big one. Okay, ready? Free consent. Clients feel that they can make any decision without fear of being reprimanded or rewarded. AKA, you cannot bribe people with fries and coerce them by saying, if you don't take this, you can't keep your job, because that's illegal. Okay. There is a requirement to provide all necessary and applicable information, and that the client can make a decision based on all of the information, and requirement that the clients are given and provided information that is understandable given the developmental level and language of proficiency of the client. As in, don't tell us constantly over and over again that something is safe and effective when we know that no medicine is good or bad. It is how it reacts in your body, and we know that no medicine is a one-size-fits-all. It says informed consent is required before any service is provided, and it says no influencing clients' decisions. Weird. Does that mean that you shouldn't get on a world stage and say, hey, if you don't take this medication, you can't sit with us? Is that what that is? And there are people who didn't take it, and I congratulate you if you didn't take it because it ruined my life, who think that we were not forced to take it. Here's the thing. What they did was illegal, because there's things like the Tuskegee syphilis study, where the U.S. Public Health Service studied untreated syphilis in African American men without informing them of their diagnosis or offering treatment even after penicillin became available. Okay. Then we have another one where it said Martin Salgo underwent a medical procedure and was left paralyzed. He claimed he wasn't informed of the risks. And the outcome of that was that the court ruled that the physician violates duty by withholding necessary information from a client, like not telling him that he could be paralyzed if he took this surgery. This one is Beecham versus United States, 1986. These cases involve patients who were subjected to experimental treatments or drugs without adequate information. I always said there's going to be like infomercials in a couple of years. Did you take this? Please call us. You might be entitled for compensation. So in summary, okay, I'm taking this from ChatGPT actually, to prevent abuse of power by institutions or professionals. Does that sound familiar? To protect individual autonomy and dignity, to ensure that people make voluntary, educated decisions about risk to their body or mind, and to shift authority from experts know best to patients and participants have the right to know and choose. Damn. ChatGPT summed that up well for me. And then at the end of this, it asked me if I wanted a video script. No, I talk from my head, okay? Funny fact, sometimes I will re-record videos so many times, you guys, and like sometimes I'll come back and my eyes will be red because I've done so many takes crying that I have to leave and come back. My hair will be different, because I actually really care about what goes out there, because when I went to school, was held to such a high standard, and as annoying as it was because I was such a young mom, oh my gosh, my eye is red. So I learned a lot about myself in school. We also did the kind of school, like college, you go and do placement for a long time. And in my placement, I learned a lot, and I could apply all of the things. And I could apply all of the things that I learned in class. And yeah, it really helped shape who I was and helped me overcome a lot. And I will just say that my starting class was like 50 people, and I think 6 of us graduated at the same time. So, you know, a lot of left-leaning people, I only say that because it's not like I think that you need to have an education to bring good to the world at all. My husband is not educated, and he is one of the smartest people I have ever met in my life, and I'm not kidding. But I'm glad I went to school when I did, and I learned this version of school to know how incredibly wrong all of what has happened to us over the last 5 years has been. And that even though I'll never be able to use my education in a job-wise because I speak out, I have been gifted this education to share with the masses, and it has helped me overcome a lot to be the best mom I could be for my kids, as you hear them screaming in the background. So anyways, guys, tomorrow I'll be back to covering the news, but today I just wanted to talk about this because oh my gosh, the amount of things that I'm seeing on TikTok is abhorrent, and people think that they can just pick and choose from this list of what they believe in. Like, informed consent and think that all of these things don't matter and it doesn't matter because it was a pandemic. That is not the case at all. It's actually when we should be paying attention to it the most. So please, guys, tell me how your long weekend was and have a good one. I will see you tomorrow when my kids are at school and I can focus on making a video about the Gong show that is going on in Ottawa. Have a good one.